Hey there, Gazbot back once again for day 97 of the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge, where you spend at least 30 minutes a day looking at cat butts walking across the screen. And when you're done looking at cat butts, which clearly we're not, then you work at least 30 minutes a day on your own personal comic project. In my case, it is the Horror A4 Kaiju comic, Giant Monster issue number 2. Cats often are in my videos. Anyway, if you've been watching, you know what's going on, and if you haven't, watch. But I am still recovering from Ape and getting back into the swing of things. Did a lot of social media this morning, a few other things, posting up pictures of commissions and spreading the groups looking to get more sketch cover work and that kind of thing, because that's the kind of work I'm enjoying lately, because it's short. It's very short term. It's like, here's a thing, money, done. There's not a lot of back and forth in the project. There's not an ongoing thing for a week, and it's more in line with the type of artwork I like to do anyway. So I did a little bit of pushing myself in a few groups there, mainly just by sharing work I'd already done. And the other thing is, I just put in a reorder in Kablam for more issues of the Horror issue number 1. Why? Well, despite my despondence yesterday, despite my whatever, I got a surge of optimism. Basically, when I did the Horror Kickstarter, I made 200 copies, and they're not all gone, but they're essentially all gone. I have a few of that first print kicking around. Some are damaged, some are not, but I'm not putting them out for sale. Matter of fact, I might use them as an incentive for Kickstarter for issue 2, for somebody that cares about getting the first print, because they do have the art on the back. The new ones have the ad on the back. After those are essentially gone, I printed 50 more. And I thought that would last me a while, because, like, you know, the book doesn't sell like gangbusters. I sell a couple at a show here and there. Once in a while somebody buys one online, but they're not flying off the shelves, as it were. However, I have Kamikaze coming up, and Kamikaze, I hope to be in the neighborhood of Silicon Valley or San Francisco Comic-Con. Even if it's not quite that good, it should be one of the better shows I do, unlike the last 2 shows I did, where I was just sitting there twiddling my thumbs half the time. And I anticipate selling more prints than books, honestly, but I want to have the books there. And when I was going through packing up yesterday, I realized, like, all the books I had fit into one box. Now, that's all of the horror books I have, including those first printing that have been kicking around, and the comp copies I have of Kid Switch, and a few sketch covers. So I'm like, oh, I didn't count, but I'm like, I've got maybe 20 copies of the comic, which if I sold 20 copies of the comic at Kamikaze, I'd be happy. But I didn't want to be in the position of selling 20 and then being out, which probably won't happen. And this is where the optimism comes in. But I'm like, well, you know, I should probably, and the reason I order in lots of 50 from Kablam is because that's how many that could fit in one box. When I ordered 200, I didn't save shipping by ordering 200. 50 fits in one box. So, you know, up to 50, that's how you save the shipping. If I order 2 boxes, that's 2 boxes of 50. I pay the shipping on both, so it doesn't matter. So there's no point in ordering more than 50 unless I think I'm going to need them in one weekend. The other thing is, so yes, there's an optimism there that if I need them for the show, but also just so I have them in stock, because I don't want to run out, especially once issue 2 comes out. Theoretically, there'll be a resurgence of people wanting issue 1 that hadn't got it, that maybe will now get 1 and 2, etc. The good news is the price point on my comics continually drops. Not naturally, but because of things I've adjusted. When I did the first printing, it didn't have an ad at all, and I didn't have any credit in the store, and it was basically just a standard order. And I'd have to go back and double check the math, but I remember it costing around $250. Maybe it was $230, $232. And the reason I remember that number is because when I sell outright to shops, I give it to them for half cover. My cover is $4.99, but really it's $5. $3.99 is $4. It's a stupid industry trope, but it's $5, even though this is $4.99. And so they give me $250, the ones that are nice enough to buy it up front, and I appreciate that. And that means I'm making like 12 cents, you know, so I effectively make nothing, which is fine, because it's just getting it out there. It's not to make money. I'm not losing money, and it's free advertising, free getting people involved in the story, etc. So that was the first printing. The second printing then was not part of the Kickstarter, and therefore did not have to have the art on the back cover. So I had a Kablam ad, which they give you a discount for, and I put it on the back cover outside, which is where you get the highest discount. Inside is less, half page is less, etc., etc. So I just went for the back cover, which is, I think, is what a lot of people do that use Kablam, which is what I would have done with the first issue had I not hit that stretch goal. And that's going to be the same when I do issue 2, depending on if I hit a stretch goal or not. There may or may not be art or an ad, at least for the first printing. So, so that made it cheaper. I'd have to go back and double check, but I think it brings it just under $2. I think it was like $1.78. It's $1.77, but then plus shipping, it comes to about $2 an issue if you break it down. So then if I was selling it, I was making 50 cents an issue. And I'm not talking about selling direct, but, you know, to a comic store. So then this batch, I've been wearing those Kablam shirts and everything, and I had about $50 credit. So my order for 50 was about $100, but I got a $50 credit, and I'm waiting for confirmation of this, so I could be off a little bit on the math. But that means instead of $2 an issue, it's $1 an issue cost. That means if I sell it through a shop to $2.50, if I sell it to a shop, I should say, for $2.50, I'm actually making $1.50 an issue, which in comics it seems to be a pretty good profit margin. You know, getting $1.50 an issue through a reseller. And that also means if I sell it at my table direct, I'm making about $4, whereas previously I was making about $2.50. So having the ad on the back and doing those Kablam, you know, credits, people make fun of me sometimes, don't forget your Kablam shirt and stuff, but it saved me money, and it's free money. And even like I did that show, you know, this week in Ape, which I was disappointed about, and I didn't really make table, but it's like one more sale, like another, it's the equivalent of another $10 print sale, you know, and it adds up. So I ordered it, and I might have been optimistic, but considering these new books are $1 each, I can afford to be optimistic. If I have 50 and I sell 10, then I have made my money back. Well, it's about 1:45, and I have not drawn anything, but I have worked on the business end and the social media end and the catching up with life end of things most of the morning. I am walking now. I'm going to walk this way. I'm walking now to go to the post office, which I could drive to, but I'm choosing to walk to get a little exercise, and I need to send out a couple comics, which is cool. I need to send out an eBay auction just for some junk I was selling, which is, you know, money, and some birthday cards. So I'm going to do that. Then I will get home, likely take a shower, and actually sit down to start working on the horror a bit. I don't have any client work right now. I should. Not like, oh man, I need client work, but I realize that there's a few, you know, sort of definitely happening client jobs that aren't happening yet still, and I'm realizing they should have gotten back to me or sent a deposit by now. But I have mixed feelings about that, you know, because work's good, money's good, but more time to work on the horror is good too. Also, yeah, there's a lot of influx things like that, but none of them are concrete right now. So once I get back, I'll just hit the horror for a couple hours and then dinner. Well, it's a little after 5, and I have had a cleanse. That's what I'm calling a shower now. Although that might be misleading, because people will think that I've evacuated my bowels or fasted for food or done some such thing. I'll just stick to saying I cleaned myself with water and soap on my body and head and feet. Okay, so anyway, I worked on the horror for about an hour and a half. I had 2 pages left on that panel, completed one, and I'm in the midst of the other, but I need to go out to check on our friend's cat, which is where I'm going now, and then I will probably pick up food on the way home, and we'll see what transpires from there. I'd like to finish up this page today at the very least. I don't know what that means. I'm checking the mail right now. So yeah, that sucked. I'm gonna drive home now. That was a complete waste of time. And traffic. I've been doing stupids lately. This is one of them. Take note of the stupids and avoid them if you can. I'm back in the car, but it's later now, darker now. I've eaten dinner and I'm heading back out to check on my friend's cat with keys this time. That's the key. Bringing well, yeah.
Here she is. I'm watching you, but that's not weird because I'm supposed to. There she goes.
Chandala Nation, go. Well, the cat sitting is done, and I'm heading out. I suppose I'll stop at Target on the way home because I never get to go to Target. Hey there, me Gazbot, back at home again. It is about 11:15. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but when I went to the post office, it was closed because Columbus Day. Because Columbus Day, which is a holiday here in the United States that when I worked a normal office job, I never got off. School kids get it off, and people with good jobs, I guess, get it off. And now that I don't have a traditional hour set, I'm never aware of these holidays because they're not usually celebrated in any significant way other than possibly having the day off depending on where you live, work, go to school, etc. So the point is, but it's a national holiday, it's a government holiday, which means services like that are closed. There is no mail delivery, etc. Luckily, the door was unlocked so that you could, I guess, access your P.O. box. But for my purposes, I had 2 packages I was mailing out that I was able to just drop into the bin bucket thing. But I had 2 birthday cards I wanted to send out, but they're those weird ones where they sing and make noise, so it's like additional postage required. I don't know how much. I could just put $1 or $2 in stamps on there, but I feel like that's wasteful because it's probably more like 60 cents or something. Anyway, that was another foolishness of me. Not quite as bad as not having the keys and having to go back, looking at my cat, but still not great. However, got home and I just put in about hour and a half, 2 hours into the Horror A4. I finished up the last page, and I did the first panel. I set up the next 2 pages and did the first panel on the next page, which I will show you now. So we're looking at page 15 of the Horror issue 2, and this is sort of the pencil phase, the rough phase. It's definitely gotten more and more tight as I've gone along, which is not the worst thing in the world because they'll make the inks easier. But anyway, I could probably also go easier on the shadows too, but finish this panel of Dan coming out from behind the bar, and there's Boots leaving up the stairs. And that was the bulk of what I did today, was these 2 panels. This one from scratch, that one had started a little bit yesterday. Then, let me close this. This is the new page. As I said, I had them set up, meaning that I opened, had the thumbnails inside, opened up the script, put them here, got everything ready, put a transparency layer over the thumbnails so that, it's not so dark, and then clean this one up to completion. And of course, there's a lot of negative space, but there's gonna be dialogue and stuff, and that's him entering the scene and moving on from there. A lot of cat butts. A lot of cat butts. Fair amount done today. I'm surprised with all the catching up I was doing and the other things. I managed to get as many hours in on the horror as I did, but I guess that's when you don't have pressing client work. That's what happens. More cat butts moving in. I better get out of here. Let me just quick tell you that today is day 97, and if today is day 97, well, then you know what that means. Hey, my arm is in the litter box, and we've got 3 days left. Oh God, no. I thought it was a false alarm, but no, it was serious business. What timing? And when you're done looking at cat bots, which is burping. Good, yep,